That's Sarkodie featuring his role model, the iconic, the legendary Obrafo, Sarkodie himself being a legend. This is Africa Global Radio, our story, our growth, our future. I am Prince Benjamin, ready with another thrilling edition of Creative's Corner. And we have in the studio today Kusi Ampemdako, who goes also by the alias Nana Yaw Ananse. Welcome to Creative's Corner on AGR.
Yeah, thank you.
You're good?
Yeah, I am. I'm good.
Or you're tired today? You've been busy.
Not really.
I would understand.
Yes.
Because obviously, as Elsie rightly identified, you were part of Chalawote, which ended some weeks ago, right?
Right.
A few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But it took a lot of virtue from you in Christian language.
Yes, actually. Yeah,
Right.
You're right.
Let's talk about your exhibition or your curation for Chalawote to start.
All right. So actually, over the years, the event has been ongoing, and there is a narrative that is being coined out every year that we explore, that has to do most to explore African culture and the people of Ghana community, because it's their land of which the event takes place, and also to honor the ancestors that they toil and save this motherland we living on today, and also the lives that were also taken overboard. So basically, that's the idea of the event. So this year we came up with Magnet to Motherland.
What to the motherland?
Magnet to Motherland.
Magnet to motherland.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's actually a science word, you know. So those science fixes students.
Right.
Yeah. So
What does it mean?
It's part of an engine.
Okay.
So automobile engines and stuff like that, and it's actually keeps the energy signals and pulse working. So all these machines you see here has that part of it as part of the engine, and it has how it works by distributing energy and then activating it.
Okay.
So it's like the brain, and it's giving like something like that. So in this context, the motherland, which is Africa, it serves as
the regulator.
the
source of
regulator
power.
to its descendants. So wherever we go, no matter how we are oppressed or no matter what is being done to us, it's that energy from the land that keeps us fighting and pushing forward despite what other races have subjected us to in the world, you know. So basically we're exploring resistance. So in that narrative, how we came about, in how some people resisted that form of oppression, and as till today, neo-colonialism is still happening, and you see, I mean, it's bad. Look at what is happening in other francophone countries that they are fed up. So this should tell you that literally we claim we are free, but we are not really free. The one way or the other, so long as you're a black youth, you wake up, there is a form of oppression that you need to resist, no matter how it is, either by color circumstance, either by lack of education, because our system has subjected us not to consider even the homeschooling knowledge as a form of education. So some people are even looked down upon just because there are some jobs that you don't even need education to do, but yet still they'll just push you to the corner to go and bring those certificates to be given those jobs, you know, and it's all forms part of our daily life and everyday oppression we go through as a society, you know. So that's how come we came about and interested in works that any artist that your narrative and your practice in terms of medium, in terms of technique involved in your practice has something to do or connote with resistance culture. So that's
resistance culture.
Yes,
that's interesting.
So that's
right. Nana Yaw Ananse, he's a curator. He lives in the world of art. Right. Multidisciplinary artist.
Yeah.
So which of the things that you do would you say, let me put it like this, which one was the birth or the mother to the others? Where did it start? And what did it lead to?
Okay, so let me tell you this. When I was growing up, actually, it's a bad thing because my dad is an artist in his own way.
Okay.
Because he's a weaver.
He's a weaver.
Yeah,
oh,
my
that's
dad
nice.
is a weaver.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what does he weave? Baskets?
He weaves
or
kente. Yes,
right.
he weaves kente, and he is the Tumafufu Hene, like in Ashanti region. There is a stew in the royal family
Right.
that is meant to honor the royals that are meant to design kente traditionally and ceremonially for the Otumfuo.
Oh, okay.
So
Wow.
that's their duty as
Okay.
my family,
Right.
and that's what my dad does. So it's a form of art.
Of course, definitely. I mean, Kente is artwork.
Yes, it's an artwork on its own. That's my dad's form of weaving. What do you call it? Sculpture making, or hanging sculptures, or fashion, whatever we will call it. So it's something I feel was already in the family. And as a young boy growing up, I just remember that I was a dyslexic,
Okay.
So I had a lot of issues growing up and attention deficit. So my school, it was interesting. Like, don't go there. That's where I'm coming from. Sit down, he's on the table, that kind of shit. So along the line, one thing they discovered that was only amazing about me while I was a child growing up was that I can draw.
Right.
And then cut papers and do funny things, So at that time, I became the darling boy of the madams in my school.
Right. All of a sudden,
because when it's our day, the Christmas
they
vacation.
need you. That's when they need you. You're the savior.
I'll draw Peter Pan, Captain Hook, everybody. Name the characters. Those days are characters we used to watch on TV.
Captain Planet
and all of them. We just so that was how it all began. And then growing up, I literally didn't study art from that perspective that I'm going to study art. It was something that naturally, I just look at portraits and I draw, and my mom then will be like, wow, that kind of vibe. So till I went to high school. So and then high school I did visual arts program, and then after the visual arts program, training college. So it just narrowed me through education. So I ended up in University of Education, so to pursue arts education. So through that course, gave me more awareness of my potentials and what I can do with my inward abilities as an artist. So actually it exposed me and it expanded me, though I had interest and passion for art. But being through the school and interacting with some professors that were academic scholars, kind of that I always Dr. Salasi Sosu and I always mention their names.
Necessary.
Grandpa, may he so rest in peace. And Seropodo, these were guys that I was very stubborn those days though, but then they were always there for me.
Patient with you.
To go to. Because imagine bring a natural object and then I bring a live fish.
Right.
Some crazy things. You do things that was, So down the line, and growing up I felt I can dance. Because I remember,
you felt you could dance.
Yes, because my dad used to go with me to the bar, and then his friends would buy me a drink, then I'll just dance, so then they would just throw some money on me. So I still felt that I had that whatever in me. So as my art grows, I feel okay, I can do installations, so I start doing practicing how to do installations and stuff. But then because of the education, because I was exposed to the techniques. Yes, I had the creative abilities and the potential technical know-how, but the technique involved in doing those, creating those works,
identify
which one, and
because of you lack the education.
You're right, but then the school came in and then restructure that kind of aspect for me, and then so then I realized that actually to be a creator, I don't have to narrow myself to a specific area of perspective. Yes, some people say, if you don't say you are this kind of artist, people will know, be known for. But actually, the art itself is a way of life, and a way of life is a culture. Therefore, you live it. So it should be something that you live. And as part of our culture, there are two elements of our culture, which is the performative aspect and the tangible, which is the language.
Also there's the painting, and
then the other one is the clothing. The language goes under the. So basically, every day, whatever we are doing every day is practicing art. And if I call myself an artist and that is my space, therefore I'm literally doing everything every day, every now and then. Just that if you archive them and you document them, then you really know that you've been working every day. So I don't restrict myself or box myself in whatever. So as I told you, I play around with everything and currently pursuing a program in theater and dance at the University of Ghana. So
wonderful. I like that you yes, you made an argument for it's not everything that asks or demands formal education, but you also testified to the fact that there was a certain deficiency when you could do the thing, but you were not educated about it. And now you also trace yourself back to the University of Education. And currently you are at the University of Ghana, right? So in a certain way, I think you've made a very thorough 360 argument where there is indeed a certain practical argument to be had. You don't always need formal education, or you don't always need to wait on formal education to do something. Right? But at the same time, formal education also serves a purpose. Right?
Because that's how it plays out, because sometimes it's not the time that as an artist, it's something that is within you. Because when you go to school, no matter what school you went to, whichever form of education, when you are employed and it's not your own creation or job, you'll be taught how to do it. That's another form of education. That's why you keep going for workshops and whatever, because so that's how it is. You get me? Then, for instance, like there are some jobs that literally this guy can do this job at this university, but then you need to get this qualification before you be given this job. But there are
because that's like a certificate is a shorter way, or it sort of compresses the whole conversation and years of probation. It compresses all of that into a paper so that your prospective employer can easily take up this paper, look at, okay, this is the qualification you got, this is the school you went to, instead of putting you on the job and experimenting with you.
And funny enough, when it comes to programming and stuff like that, IT is not your certificate too.
Oh, of course. There are skills, there are so many skills that you don't need certificates for. At the moment, right? But the certificate also goes to a certain. The certificate sometimes also takes some people to some places, because again it shortens conversations about what you can do and what you can't do and all of that. But we are easily coming to a place where you need a skill aside your certificate. It's for some cultures it's been a thing. You need your degree. You also need a skill. Right, it's not either or. It's not sacrifice one for the other. But can you have both? Because then it makes you versatile. The world is changing.
You get me. It gives you power over what you're doing, and you have that capacity and the potential. Like it takes that fear away. You can approach whatever.
If you need an interview, this is my certificate. If you want me to perform, for you to see it, I also have the skill.
Yes. So I feel that as creatives and especially a country or a globe, if I would call it, a continent, I was having this conversation with my brother, like, you don't need to look far for what we are doing or what we want to achieve. Everything is embedded right around you. And even in the pedagogy of the new art practice and all of that, like the great artists who have made impact from Africa, it's because they look around.
Of course. The inspiration is all around you. The muse is all around you.
So, like my country and continent, in all aspects of the art, should be advocating and fighting for our race in whichever way we can, for our voice to be heard. I don't know whether you're getting where I'm coming from.
So you think the purpose of art at the moment for an African, or what you're championing, or your group is championing, is representation on the international front. A voice. You want to create a voice, or you want to
and not just necessarily a voice, the cultural change.
Right. Yes. But okay. So I use the word voice in that sense. But you want a certain revolution where you'll be well represented, right? Africa, or Black people,
right?
That's what you're saying,
right? And in this context, does not necessarily have to be the Western standard
of
routine.
Art. Okay, right. So what are the local? We should explore local art forms, right, and even create from yourself, because,
like for instance,
you can also make that contribution.
For instance, what I mean is that, yes, all aspects of life is needed. Therefore, songs or those songs is okay. We sometimes we need to love. We have to, But I don't want to be hearing more of other songs. From my perspective, others have.
There are other things we could talk about.
There are so many things that, at this point, that is the only medium and media we have to get our young ones. Right now, I'm telling you, me, I can rattle Black Shari's song from A to Z. But when you call like a class 4-year boy, he will do same, like it will shock you. Then they know the words. They know back to back the
words. But you can do Bob Marley.
because
he was your Black Sheriff when you were small.
You get what I mean. Right. So now the conversation becomes like, okay, and we always say we have to be enlightened, we have to be educated, we have to do what is right by, and art does all of that. I feel over the years in our visual art space, of which we don't respect, that pay attention much, a lot, have contributed and done a lot when it comes to these things I'm talking about, like trying to address an issue as a society than the other forms. For instance, the film industry, which has to do with performing art, the music industry, which has to, you get me? Like, and funny enough, the world standard, if they believe it or not, what they look into is in your art, is how does the art connect to you, your existence, and the people around you, and how is it solving a problem?
Right, because your art needs an identity. It needs a certain root or a certain source.
Right.
And your art has to represent you. Your art can't be of another culture per se. You may be inspired by another culture, but your art has to speak to you and where you come from, right?
Right.
Else it's not us.
Right.
That's what I would argue.
Exactly. Me, that's where my stand is. So therefore, I see a lot of that form of art which lacks the standard of the unique African modality in there. Rather, whatever, even if he's speaking in Twi, the content of the song is not what my youths want now. Where that future we want to see, the revolutionary future we want to see our young ones taking in charge of and making their own decisions and stuff like that. So it's just that this is a form of Western media distracting us because we are always copying. And that is the bar and the standard. But that's not it. There should be more of realities in the system.
Right. Right, and Wallace's, and
you know.
I would even argue that Black Sheriff also has a certain.
That's where I'm coming from.
A certain place in that pedestal that we are Black.
Yes, because Wallace, I was saying that
Fry and the rest.
I was saying that look at his song. The content of his song.
Yeah,
it's a big time resistance.
Oh yeah, it's resistance culture. Yeah.
That has to do with what every Ghanaian African youth goes through and what we dare not want to talk about. He kind of finds ways to talk about it.
Right.
and still makes those big boys still dance to it.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's the wonder about his music now. It's not just young people that like Black Sheriff. You've got old people who also listen to Black Sheriff. I have old friends who are older than me who listen to his album.
Because
and
guess
they've gone
what?
to his concerts.
And guess what?
In the diaspora.
Because the people of Konongo itself don't even know some places he mentioned where he's from in his music.
Right. But which is important, right? That's the art you were talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
You get me?
Yeah.
How many of our artists kind of, they talk Ashama, what, blah, 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 and that. But mind you, they are really from somewhere.
Yeah. Right. So where are you from? How do you represent your roots? Like
very
your
deep.
Culture,
You're very
tribe,
deep.
Your ethnicity, right?
You get me from that perspective.
From that
how does it reflect in your everyday? He said he's a Zongo boy.
Right.
And all of, how does that revolve every day in your...
And I loved when he, on his Soldier, he incorporated Adoa into that trap. That was a cultural... it was quite revolutionary.
It is.
Yeah.
You get me?
Yeah.
That's where I kind of put the landmark. And you wonder some people don't still get it and really understand, how is this guy, like, he sound like he's making noise too much. Some people, like, they were, at first, like, I used to hear people kind of say to his music is just making noise, and I'm saying that even that noise is part of the noise,
art,
because you don't like it. He's imposing something you don't like on you, that is telling you that you've been doing
Wake up and watch this. It's an attention grabber.
That's the whole point.
It's an alarm. An alarm is not supposed to be pleasing to the ear exactly.
Right.
So, and I think the right thing to do, or the commonsensical thing to do, is when you hear something that you think is a scream, you need to pay attention to why that scream. So if you hear an artist that you don't understand, you should take interest in why he sounds like that.
Exactly.
Right. Especially for adults. When your child could easily be influenced by this artist that pushed you off, right? He puts you off, but could you investigate to know why does he sound like that? What does he talk about? Is that what I want my child to be listening to? What's the value of this in the grand scheme of things? You understand what I mean? Right. Kusi Ampim Dako, also known as Nana Yaw Ananse, is an art educator, aside being a multiple, art... a multiple artist, multi-artist or multi-talented artist. I beg your pardon. Multi-talented artist. Aside that, he's also a curator. So I learned also that you're the chief executive officer and founder of AFAB.
AFAB.
Or AFAB. AFAB, okay. Ananse Fine Art Bureau.
Yeah.
Okay, so when did you found it? And how long has it been?
Okay,
what has it also been doing?
Actually, this was... I founded this 2019, somewhere around the December of 2019.
Okay.
Before, I used to have the idea or the mind of starting a collective within the art space. So that was how come I came about with the whole thing, because Ananse is actually the god of wisdom based on my culture, narrative, and tradition, and the way he was always projected was through stories and a form of educating our young ones and youth. So looking into that and considering that, and always trying to tell a story through the means of art in that spectacle, I think it would have been more of a better sense to me to come about with that name Ananse. So that was how come the name Ananse came into play. And as in the brewery, that means we are not just defined as one thing. It's all kinds of things coming together within the art.
Okay.
So it could be in the lens of performative or visual representation. Fine art contest. They are all fine art.
Right.
When you mention fine art is both performing art and visual art.
Right.
But in the fine art, there are two elements to it. the visual aspect of the fine
the
art.
tangible, one that can be felt,
right,
or experienced by touch and stuff.
Because when you are performing, you work
often lifeless as well.
Right. When you're performing, you use props, you and all of those things are sculptures and whatever.
Okay, so that's a combination of the visual and so I understand.
So it's two things. Okay. So they are all like basically the same representation. And when you are creating an artwork, the act of creating, you are performing. When I'm molding a sculpture, you are cutting, you are performing.
The action is a performance. Okay, which really comes to life at events like Chalawoti, right? Because it's not just an exhibition of artworks, but people also get to see that sacred performance of the art itself.
It's something spiritual. It's not just something that is being done based on the fact that people want to, or the CEO wants to create something just because he just feel like it's something that has to do with our spirituality, something that has to do with our existence. So it goes beyond that. And as I told you, there are so many elements to it. So that's why you find performative aspect of the thing and that visual context. So it's all into one kind of box that you can't separate each one from each other. They all have that connection. And then art is spiritual thing. Like it's something that
you're often bringing something out of nothing, right?
Right.
Yeah,
so
bringing something to life out of nothing.
For me, my art has to do with more of spiritual essence than just practicing the art, because it's true spiritual means it can impact to that level where you want it to be impacted than just mere whatever.
Right. Since we're talking about spirituality, what faith are you of?
Wow. Okay. I'm anti-religious.
Right.
I'm anti-religious.
Okay, so I'm not using faith in the sense of institutional religion, but like, what's your spirituality?
My spirituality.
What's your spiritual philosophy? Let me put it.
My spiritual philosophy is more of, as I told you, when we were growing up, I ended up in Buddhist churches and other faiths, Christianity, like very staunch Christian and all of that.
Your home is a Christian home?
Yeah, my mom is a Methodist, like strong Methodist.
Right.
Yeah.
Your dad?
My dad, so he is more of a neutral person. He's not a church type of man.
Right. But he wouldn't also identify as a traditionalist.
He will, because he pours libation and he does necessary requirements that is based on...
Because he works with a royal family.
Yes, and he is a chief himself. So that's what he's supposed to do as a... Yeah.
So he's a traditionalist. Do you think you would identify as
So for me now, you can identify me as traditionalist. Right. But then I hate people trying to mimic that faith and associating it with paganism. Because to me, the other religions in the country are the pagans.
Right.
They are the ones that are not from... yes, they actually... I was born in this culture, and that is the light through which I should perceive what my God and existence should be. Therefore, even my Savior, I can hail unto Okofanoche as my Savior. And even my Christ in being, because he formed my kingdom. You get me? Yes, and he was a priest, not a fetish priest. That word must be cut. You know what I mean? So all these narratives, these small narratives, and those things they have pushed on us has made us disrespect what our existence as, and don't even appreciate and value ourselves. You get what I mean? And it's pure science that was happening during that time that people don't really understand today, because we've been, whatever way of brainwash we have, matrix we find ourselves in. So me, yes, I've seen other things that I was breaking out of Christianity I thought would have been the option. But then I along that line, I realized they all come back to religion and blah, blah, blah. And even funny, their myths and the things they talk about. Confanochi was also born with whatever talisman and stuff. He vanished with his parents. His house don't have roofing, but rain still fall. Rain is falling, but like the rain don't get into his room, don't get wet. He walks without his clothes, don't get in wet in rain and stuff like that. And you said Jesus walk on water, he did that. Me too, man, Confanoche did. He commanded the whole golden stool that today is still there, whether you believe it's there or not. It's a legend, and the history makes, that's why Ashanti people are still existing. They say if it's not, the Ashantis will not die. So even for the fact that the kingdom even exists, tells you that this man existed as that great things. You get me? The others they are calling on, where are their existence? So why do I have to look far and be looking? So I'll follow my tradition and what. If those previous ancestors of me would die and go to hell, of which they did good exemplary life that makes them ancestors, that their name have been carried on and on till I also had the opportunity and that gift to bear that name. And I am telling them today now that what they believed in that made them ancestors is of evil, is of paganism. But therefore, what someone brought to me in his own light of culture and means of survival, to me, is the way out. No, I rest my case with religious.
All right. That's Kusi and Pim Dako.
Right.
Yes. So this is where you draw your inspiration for your artworks and your installations. And where can we find your work? I've seen you on Instagram, by the way. I can readily identify Harriet Tubman. Right? This is your Instagram?
No.
Oh, this is the old one. This is an old one?
Go to okay, so just go Nana Yaw Ananse.
Okay. I'm doing that right now. Nana Yaw Ananse.
Yeah, so one of them will pop up. Okay. Any of them will pop up. You can go.
So that was a pseudo account. This is the one.
Right.
So the other one was a pseudo account.
Right.
Yeah, you've become so famous somewhere.
No, my followers don't even have 2,000. I'm not famous. I even want to
one for you because they put pictures of you and Walasi and you had a picture of Harriet Tubman there as well. Anyway, okay, so these are some of your artworks.
Yeah, some of my exhibitions I've done. On others too I've created and others.
Okay, so this someone would call it a dilapidated building or structure, but I see what you're doing here.
Right.
The perspective from which you took the picture presents it as an artwork.
Yes, as an installation art piece.
Did you assemble this, or it's nature?
It's nature that assembled it for me on my behalf.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So literally, like what I believe in and what I do with my visual work. I as I told you, based on the story I want to tell, I just look around my area and areas, and then the material that I feel it best fits the narrative. I pick it up and then play around with it in a contemporary artistic way, and then come up with a piece. So for instance, breaking your mind how some of the means of art has revolved into. So for instance, we only talk about Kayaye. And because of instead of me drawing Kayaye or painting them, I just go to the sites where Kayaye are, and then,
these are head potters, ladies that help carry their
head potters,
their wares and stuff in the market.
Just document their way of life, a shot natural whilst they are there. Maybe some, if you're breastfeeding the baby, and that's a short film part is gone. Have a conversation with them, or even they making noise with their pan, you extract the noise of their pan, and you took it to the studio, you extract it, and you take it out, and you create a rhythm or pattern of sound out of it. Then you go as far as, if it's possible, bringing some of them as life model into the exhibition space. Then the rest, you just gather a lot of pan that they use every day in their life. And
so there's you even sharing or bouncing some ideas off of us, listening. Yeah.
So that's how you want to represent or tell their story. You get me in that context. So you would see that with that level, you find out you are not really restricted. You can do a lot of things at a go with just one concept.
Right.
You just picked it up.
There's so many ways to bring it to life.
Right. And play around with it. So now you could see that before, even photographers were not considered as fine artists. But now, right now, when you're making a call for artists, filmmakers, and whatever, because that's a medium, a modern technology form of making art.
Right.
You get me in that sense. So you're not restricted. You can do a whole lot of things within or at a go just by having that deeper.
Right.
So the material is just about the material culture. How can I best play around with this thing? So in this context, if the narrative or the message I want to talk about, if it's true music or sound that will have that touch that I want, then you go in for that.
Right. So that's the beauty of being a multidisciplinary artist, right? Then you have so many tentacles or so many things to tap into.
If it's a theater production you need to stage, that will best express that work you want to come up for the project. Yes, you go in for that and you nail it out.
Right. Let's conclude the conversation with what you do with recycled plastic.
Wow. So with a recycle art, it's interesting. That was 2021. Yeah, that was when I started playing around with the plastic bottles.
Okay.
And it came out as a result of an arrest which happened during one of the events. I think it was Charlie Water also. I think it was Charlie Water 2021. And then we were there. We just saw AME cars and the police just ordered from above. They took us there. It was me, myself.
That made the news,
Me, myself, and Imanche and his assistant. The CEO of Charlie Water.
Right.
So we were sent to Accra Regional Police Headquarters. The one at that main, whatever there. And
Labon or Canton?
Canton. No, not the one at Labon. No, I think
police headquarters.
No police headquarters.
Right.
Actually, Accra head.
Okay, right.
Head office or whatever they call it. Yeah. So we went there. They kept us behind the bars, and they said orders from above. We sat behind the bars for.
By above, they meant.
Above, order from above, just like that.
No identity.
No identity to the people who called for the arrest. So we sat there for 4 hours, and then they told us that it's 7 o'clock. We can't stay behind the counter throughout the night. We have to be locked inside. So the three of us were locked inside the cells for 3 days. And during my time inside the cell, well, I don't care whatever politics it was that led us being arrested in there. But the point is that I have done nothing wrong. I'm doing my art, and an artist have been arrested. And you're telling me no charge. And because of that, I'm just there. Why?
Was it because 2021 was COVID season?
Well,
were you told not to gather and you gathered?
That is hypocrisy. And I will say this wherever I find myself. I sometimes just don't want to delve into those conversations because it's sometimes controversial. But then the little I can say is that is hypocrisy in the first place, because Jamestown, Gamami, the Mami itself, that's the year they had their Homowo festival. And Yeye, I don't know whether you know the aspect of the festival called Yeye.
No.
Where they carry the twin, Kusumu, whatever they call it, and they carry the twin and they march down to the around Countermantle area there and dump it on one of their shrines there. That activity even happened. That thousands of people were on the street. Nobody knows mass.
Right.
The boys, I don't know whether you've observed how they do their homework.
So given that, you did not understand why Chalewote couldn't come up.
And the first place, we were not doing our event as like how we used to. It was announced virtual. So meaning the event is not an open event, it's a virtual event. that was happening inside the castle. So literally, it's the artists that are hanging their works or installing their works in the castle that we have a way everybody's supposed to be in the nose masks and blah 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 that is happening inside the cell. We are observing our protocols. So the people you will find there were supposed to be media men who are going to cover it, to take it live,
so people can
see it's what is happening, so that people know the event is happening, but it's live because of COVID, virtual because during Shatawale did his event,
did his,
something virtual. So literally that was what we were doing. But the people of Jamestown, they were in town already because people know Chalote is, So during the time they had come on the streets, walking about, doing their own, going their own, which has nothing to do
with you.
Us.
Right. So lead me back to how that inspired the recycle art.
So what inspired it is that whilst I was inside the space, the inmates, they were using the bottle as means of life.
Of what?
Life.
A
means of life.
Oh, okay.
The bottle was used as a means of life.
What do you mean by that?
As a surviving tool.
Okay.
Smokers use it as smoking paraphernalia.
Okay.
Others keep their toothbrush and stuff inside it. Others refill it with water to sit on it as a furniture, like a couch, because the floor... everybody.
Okay, so they collect a lot of bottles.
When someone visits you, they'll ask for a bottle of water, or the officers, the bottle, that kind of vibe.
Right.
So inside the cell, you will see that one person is allocated to a towel.
Okay.
You see how the towel is?
Yeah.
Each person is allocated to a towel because inside the cell was supposed to take, I think, 15 or something like that, according to how the cells were structured. But as at when we were in there, we're like 57. You get me? So
and how many tiles?
So the tiles, basically, that's how you be arranged like that. And then if you don't have money, you go to the bunker where they've pushed everybody because they don't have, But if you can pay money to the cell leaders, they can make sure your life is a bit comfortable in there, where you'll be a bit closer to the main whatever, where you have access to ventilation. So whilst we were there, how they were using the bottle, because you can't sit on the tile for long, they refill it with a bind with a solid tape. So you see some of the pictures, I'm carrying a bottle on my head when you go to some of that photography works. And so whilst all of that was happening, others too were beating it up to make it flat as fan.
Oh, right.
You get it. And pillow, a whole lot of things were happening whilst I was in there, and the use of the bottle. When it's time for Muslims to pray, they have a way they signal themselves, then they separate up for the Muslims to have their prayer. When it's Muslims' time to have their prayer, they also. So a whole lot of things were happening. So whilst I was there, it gave me that awareness and then mindset of retelling that story. What should be the medium I can work with and use in retelling the story? And the plastic bottle bounced back to me because I used it whilst I was in there to smoke, because the policeman...
To smoke what?
Smoke marijuana. I smoked marijuana inside the cell whilst I was there.
Wow.
Because I was inside the cell and I heard the smell of marijuana inside the cell, and I asked, is that what I'm hearing? Right. They said, yes, here if you have money, whatever you want can come. And I said, so it means that if I have money, I can get ganja here. They said, yeah. So they just sent me the ganja inside, just that it was expensive. 100 cedis for a roll. And then
how did you pay for that? Because I know they take everything from you, right?
So this is where I'm coming in.
Right, okay,
The cell leader called one of his gang guys inside there. Yo, your man wants something, sort them out. Then they call a police officer there. Now the police officer inside the cell, they brought the weed to us.
The police
officer
brought a police officer in uniform?
Yes, in uniform. Pretended he didn't know what is in the rubber, and they brought it.
Wow. And so he's the one that took the payment?
Of course, everybody getting cuts.
But how did you pay? Did you have money on you?
Yes, I have money because I will ask to send mobile money to the
To the policeman?
No, not to the policeman, to the
gang?
cell leader inside the
yeah.
cell, and they have their it's a business between them and the officers.
Right, so there was a phone also in the cell?
In an Android, proper Android phone that I was making video calls.
Right, and contacting people to make these transactions.
These transactions.
Was that the first time you smoked the weed?
Right, inside the cells.
Yeah.
No, I had smoked. I smoked so for me it was like, yeah, this is an opportunity to see what is happening. Like and it was an experimental moment for me, seeing that happening, and even how they took me through the process of making the bunk out of the bottle, so that when you inhale, the smoke still it's still inside.
And this was a plastic?
It's a bottle. This normal water bottle.
Yeah.
They just
Isn't that dangerous?
You said it's dangerous. It's not.
Plastic
bottle.
And smoke.
It's not dangerous. I mean, they have a way they make they use the cigarette to either a cigarette or a quail. When they on it, it's hot. So when you touch the bottle, just make the hole just like that easily. So then they put sellotape somewhere, and then the pipe. Then
wow.
So you realize that when you smoke, you inhale as much as you can, so that it doesn't.
You don't waste smoke.
You don't waste smoke. And the one that is being left in the jar after you had smoke, the guys that they cannot afford to buy, they also take the bottle and they inhale the leftover in the bottle. So it was so interesting. Like
that was some experience.
Yes,
that was some experience. Getting high behind bars.
I'm telling you, and I was like, wow. So this experience I could talk about them. So you go see we did my works inside plenty. Sometimes, at the cat the weed. I did one exhibition like that, that I exhibited pure weed, and then there was one too at Tech Campus. An installation performative exhibition I did that one too. I just installed some bottles that looks like that, and some of the wall looks like at the mill cell you find nude pictures from graphic pages stuck on the walls, and then football icons with calendar from back page of graphics to help them allocate their date of court appearance and stuff like that. So I did installation, something to represent,
to show people who may never go behind bars or have never been
how the place look like. And myself trying to process the weed like the way they do it inside the cell and smoking it live. And that was my art, and that was the art.
Where is your next installation or exhibition?
Right. So currently I'm working on a series called Oja series, and I showed some of them at Charlotte this year. So the works are still in progress. So I think when I'm done, somewhere December, I will have my next exhibition somewhere December, but yet I've not fixed the date.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So just go on Instagram and look for the gentleman. He's Nana Yaw Ananse.
Right.
And you can find him by looking up Ananse Nana Yaw. Ananse Nana Yaw on Instagram. You should be able to easily find him.
Right.
Yes, Nana Yaw. Thank you so much for coming over, telling your stories, inspiring us in the Pan-African way on such a day as Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Day, September 21. It's been Creatives Corner here on Africa Global Radio. I am Prince Benjamin. Of course, you can call me PB, and that's how we say goodbye to you and
actually,
to Ananse.
I'm working on a gospel album.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gospel as in Christian gospel or traditional?
Whichever way they will call it. But it's as I told you, we are resisting and then rebelling, and so they should watch out. There is 7 songs, kind of an EP. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
All right, something to look forward to.
Right.
All right, Ananse, thank you so much once again. And next week we bring you another riveting edition of Creatives Corner. I'd like to say thank you to Barry, thanks to Emmanuel, thanks to Victor, thanks to Mickey as well.